Hi, my name is Daniel Doyle, and for this presentation, I am discussing archival description and how archival institutions can use that to increase public access and, in turn, stand out in the public sphere. Archival description is also known as encoded archival description, or EAD for short. My thesis for this research paper was how archival institutions struggle to stand out in the public sphere and are in turn often overlooked and underutilized. One way for archival institutions to increase their accessibility is by adapting encoded archival description, or EAD. EAD was developed in the mid 1990s in a response to concerns that the then current standard of archival description, which was MARC, or MARC, was not accessible and searchable for internet users. Archival Encoded archival description is known as the international standard for creating archival finding aids, which is what users will find when they first access digital archives on any website like the Henry Ford Museum's archives website, Wayne State's libraries, or the Library of Congress. The Library of Congress, as noted here, uses EAD for finding aids and items in the collection. So discussing EAD and finding aids. Prior to the implementation of EAD, it was noted that studying and looking for information on existing finding aids was difficult because of they were based off of MARC, which was designed for more library work in presenting all the bibliographical information for a record or a collection out front. Unfortunately, that creates a lot of issues with reading and understanding the finding aids. EAD simplified the procedure by placing only brief notes on what biographical information is needed for a certain record or collection, and quickly gets to listing the important information for the record or collection front, which allowed, which means that EAD is better designed to be integrated and searchable on the internet, which was the goal of developing this program. As you can see here, here's some of the sources that I use, and all these sources discuss how encoded archival description has advantages in enabling public access to archival institutions' collections. It must be noted that when comparing both EAD and MARC, or MARC, furthermore, when it comes to comparing these two types of archival description records, they're not interchangeable, as in because they're developed from different programs from different decades. They don't work together when it comes to transferring information over, which is an unfortunate occurrence that does limit the accessibility of some records in various archival institutions until those institutions can convert the records over to the new encoded archival description standard. But when it comes to working and enabling public access to records, EAD makes up for those shortcomings when comparing the two types of record keeping. First, because of EAD's layout when it comes to displaying this information, it is easier for users when it comes to searching for these records on databases. They only have to search for a certain number of keywords for these records to show up at the top of the search results, which allows much quicker searching and selection of the materials that users are looking for. One final point to touch on for this short presentation is the fact that people tend to believe objects are more accessible when it comes to established authority and trustworthiness. Since EAD, finding age and other record, can list the line of possession or provenance of records and other items, people are more likely to study and make use of these databases and records.